Assassination Classroom Season 1, Episode 16. Time for the exam. Yeah, it's one of those solo team sports, like track. We're gladiators. We are assassins. Allegedly. They haven't actually killed anyone yet, and I kind of hope they don't have to ever. Another day, another dollar. Another day, another assassination attempt. Oh, I'm relieved it went that direction. I was about to say. This is interesting. Yeah, he's a very zoomed out thinker. Tests seem largely pointless for the specific goal of learning. It's a lagging indicator. When it goes right, when they're well designed, it shows you how effective someone has been at learning something already. It often doesn't itself contribute to any kind of meaningful learning. There are exceptions. I mean, I had the experience of seeing a test problem and then like connecting two ideas, but even that isn't exactly the test. It's more learning through the application, which probably should have happened before I took the test. You could also say there's an incentive element to it. Knowing that you take a test, assuming you care about the results of the test, gives you motivation to do the learning before the test. But then sitting down and actually taking the test, that either has or hasn't been done. And then you get into like, what are we actually testing for? Does this particular test meet those goals? But there's a broader idea, which is that how you do one thing is how you do anything. And experiencing enough complex things gives you patterns that are repeatable across multiple things. Problem solving, how to work a system, how to handle pressure, and how to correct problems and mistakes. One of the best ways to handle it is to use a test to identify specific individual problems and attack those problems. Teachers do practice test and test review, but usually the grade has been decided, so there's less of an incentive to pay attention. Kids basically just get the paper, look at their grade, and shove it into their desks, and then tune out for their review. Anyway, there are much greater macro skills, and I've also learned that once you go deep enough into something that is complex enough, you reach this interesting point that's kind of like the core structure of reality itself, and you see how the tenets of this thing apply to an endless amount of other things that you once thought were unrelated. For example, how many life lessons have I got out of just the structure of video games? How many analogies I can form from the stock market? You would hope. And to Koro-sensei's point, competition is one of those things that unlocks so much because you can't subjectivize your way out of it. It's not about your opinion, it's not about your feelings. Assuming the rules are applied equally, it's just a game. And it could be a terrible game, could be a pointless game, but it's much harder to rationalize away the effects of the game. Those who do better at the game are better at the game. And so even just establishing that hierarchy of optimal versus suboptimal pathways is huge. That's one of the beauties of, for example, sports. It's just you and your competitor in the same set of rules. That's a large element of life. What are the methods? What are the tools? What is the outlook you need to overcome? Episode 16, school's out, first term. Maybe we'll have some break time episodes also. Some students didn't make it, unfortunately. He keeps dropping the LA thing. Well, I spent some time in LA. What is actually being represented here? That's unfair. There's like a practically infinite number of books you could read. Why would Japanese kids be reading Catcher in the Rye? Why do American kids read Catcher in the Rye? Hold on. I'm looking at this test now. Speaking of test design, begin long before singing, not they will be. It will begin not long before. This is hard. I think they forgot the it on number 2. It took me 5 minutes to walk to... Wait, what? Whoa, hold on a second. The station took me 5 minutes to walk another. What the hell? If this is deliberate, this is genius. It wouldn't surprise me at all if one of the workers on the show just ripped this out of their kid's study folder. I don't know if I'm doing well on this exam, honestly, and I speak English on my better days. Don't approve of this, Koro-sensei. Yeah, this is a trap. They're just trapping you. You gotta think too. It's also understanding and application and underlying principles. This is disturbing and horrifying. I don't like it. I choose to not understand science. We learned that lesson. We saw that episode. That happened. I think about this a lot with economics because it's so dry and so much of my studying was actually just math. There's a side of it that's missed that I think is really beautiful and actually a lot of people would love, and also I think is very important. I mean, it's multifaceted and people have interest in different things. There's the money element of it, the data element of it, global economy, macroeconomic conditions, etc., etc. But at the heart, it's something like how to create the most value and do the best good given the natural limited constraints of the world, which is not only not disconnected, it like is maybe the mandate of humanity. It's a mirror on a material level for life itself trying to grow and create in the face of natural decay and destruction. It's maybe even the story of the universe just on the level of our resources. And just with that basic understanding and the perception of some soulfulness in there, it becomes a lot more enjoyable, a lot more fun, and also I think somewhat more naturally intuitive to learn all the other stuff. There's life to it and there's a reason why it's important. It's not just something to be memorized and studied for an exam or for a career. Like, it lives and breathes. An extra thought to throw in here that I think is really cool is I think I was under the impression for a long time that the subjects themselves were real things. There is no such thing as a subject. The subject's real purpose is to break down existence into more discrete pieces so we can get into more depth and just focus in on this one thing. And maybe that sounds obvious, but I think that's lost a little bit. They're treated as different things, but presumably they're all towards the same goal. And because they're all part of existence, there's a connection between all of them. And they all live and breathe from that same source. I thought about this with the split between philosophy and theology. What happened that that split became necessary? There's something much more fundamental, which is the search for truth. Critically, the subject in the field does not create the truth. It is an attempt at discovering and understanding truth. So having a field, having credential, being a specialist becomes less useful as you become more attached to the doctrine itself, as opposed to the overall pursuit, and understand where your field fits into that pursuit. Supposed to just know everything about everything, or you shouldn't even be here. This is a problem with the exam then, if we're relying on flukes. The interesting is big. It's a sword, but also it's a pen. Or a quill? Ren being Ren. Ren really renning it up. They look very similar. Are we related? Allow me to introduce you to unknown unknowns. Karma's entry point into all this is revenge, domination. We're not too dissimilar, maybe. I wonder what the actual difference will be between them. I mean, judging by the gladiator sequence, seems like we did pretty well. A lot of the time, it's the students that think they did the worst that end up doing the best. Dunning-Kruger effect and all that. Nice. Perfect English. And honestly, that's really impressive because I saw the exam. There's no way I'm getting 100 on that exam. And I read Catcher in the Rye, and I'm a native English speaker on my better days. I've been online recently and I've noticed people can't spell. It's just the new world we live in. I hate that I'm about to be this guy. Makes me feel terrible, but probably just an effect of a lot of electronic communication. Interestingly, this actually is a big issue in China because the way you text is using Roman letters. There's no way to text in the original Chinese characters. You have to do it phonetically in English, let's call it, and that will auto-convert or bring up a drop-down menu for the Chinese characters, which means reading is maybe somewhat affected, but way more dramatically is writing, because just in everyday life and the way people communicate these days in China, you don't actually need to draw the characters. So there's a major disincentive there and less practice happening. The same might be true for English-speaking countries to a less pronounced effect. But, you know, I'm not even really sure it's that big of a deal. I've heard the arguments for language purism, and I guess my focus, my orientation is communication. So, you know, whatever. As long as that's not being significantly degraded. Nice. Oh, we lost this one. You got a 99, 1 out of 100. Where'd that extra point go? Harsh parents everywhere. Nice. 2 for 3, right? This seems like a lock. This is her life. Yes. All thanks to our communication skills. Wait, there's gonna be a dip. Uh-oh. We might get a tie. Oh, so it's over. We actually lost. Okay, that's great. Or we won. Oh. I'm honestly a little bit fuzzy on this arrangement. I can't remember. What? That's painful. You're a little cocky, huh? A little overconfident. Everyone else is working really hard. That's tough. That's a crash. He definitely has smart kid syndrome. That's a disease with a really bitter cure. Yeah, the principal won. He did. He was talking a big game. Where'd those extra 8 points go? That would be pretty weak. Stu just always finds the shadow somehow. Parenting. If you can't break your son's spirits, can you even call yourself a father? This is kind of harsh from Koro-sensei, but he's right, and it's definitely for Karma's benefit. In fact, you coast just far enough to reach your level, and no farther. That is not a linear line, it's exponential. The higher you go, the more gravity there is. He needed to hear it. Right, yeah. Ultimately, this is faith in him. It's realizing he can do better. You also lack a process. You've never needed one. They're both pissed. He's just teaching to his plateau right now. And keep moving forward. Speaking of like overlap, this is Haikyuu, right? Core principles. What was that little aside from Koro-sensei though? That seems to relate to his own character and journey. He's learning from the students too. You haven't made it perfectly. Take value in the process. Maybe there's ways Koro-sensei can look bigger in this whole plan. They did a great job with that. They made the test very exciting. Yeah, 3. Yeah, it's nothing. Which one was 3 again? There's some family drama. Dad goes out for cigarettes. Oh man. There we go. A grade is a grade. And we didn't make the course. You're teaching it. What? I feel sorry for his tentacle family. Yeah, I really want to know what they'll do with this bet. Probably something wholesome or towards their goal. Not something filled with bitterness for the other class. Kiss my feet. What is the demand? Yeah, they played everyone. There you go, there's some initiative. It is a game. Yeah, this is a very meta approach to it too. This is also a potential problem. It depends on what your goal is. You absolutely can gamify school and exams. If the grades at the school itself is a means to an end for you and is a tool towards some bigger goal as opposed to the actual material learning, then it makes total sense. Though in that case, it might undermine the learning. Yeah, why does she have to stay? Oh, he went there. Time to stop pretending like I'm too good for it. Let's just eliminate the fake Ritsu and the machine Ritsu. Then we'll have no distractions. Actually, way better idea. Let's eliminate the machine Ritsu and embrace human Ritsu. We have a human Ritsu. And let's stop calling her Ritsu but calling her her real name. Because then we'll have just an actual student, and that's good. As opposed to Adobe Windows over here. Yeah, we're really losing this rationale for class 3E to be low and to have punishments and be penalized. You mean like the E class that's demolishing you? They have a lot to be proud of right now.
今回の期末で
All going according to plan.
しかも E 組に対する屈辱や危機感はなお一層奮起する材料になる
Yeah, this one just plays into his hands.
地球の存亡に関わるような異常な時でも私の教育理念は
Yeah, like, he has a point. I can't argue with that, really. It is working.
それは全てエンドがエンドであってこそ手を打とう夏休みの間に
Alternatively, you just flip it around. You just make the current top students the losers.
これでも足りないくらいです。夏の誘惑は枚挙にいとまがありませんから。
I am not physically capable of carrying all this.
君たちにだってもらう資格は十分あります。
Your reward is a summer course? Get out of here. Your reward for doing well in school is more school. That is so ass backwards.
あんなしけた国内旅行くれてやるよ
Sour grapes.
勝てなくて何がごえげつだ。お笑いだぜ。
勝ててるの浅野くん一人じゃない。
黙ってくれ。
But where were you? Where were you guys? What did you do? You do better than.
負け犬に口なし。
Exactly.
この借りは必ず返す。父より先にまず E 組。ターゲットはお前らだ。
You've made a very mediocre enemy today.
四方を先生の苦手な水で囲まれたこの島を使い、
Where does Class A come in the picture?
君たちは侮れない生徒になった。親御さんに見せる通知表は先ほど渡しました。これは先生からあなたたちへの通知
But they're
表。
highly individualized. Or they're just smiling faces. Effective.
1学期で培った基礎を十分に生かし、夏休みもたくさん遊び、たくさん学び、
Those are contradictory.
たくさん頑張らしましょう。
Oh yeah, the killing.
基礎の1学期、これにて終了。
Interesting, interesting. I wonder if this changes our focus going forward in the show. We've sort of gotten the scale. We have the goal that is sufficiently big enough and good enough and also connected. It's about them. It's not about the school, the education. It's about something that matters a lot more, which is them and their journey and their vision. And with that set, then the process for how to move along the path towards that, how to break down obstacles, how to be somewhat self-directed, how to take responsibility for it instead of being passive and thinking that your physical presence in a classroom or in anything is a contribution or is the work, the development towards the goal. We're sort of all on board now. We're focused. We care about it. We understand the utility. We're humble. So what's the next step? Maybe now we can start to have some real fun with the field itself. Get more hands-on or hands-off as the case may be.